Hi, I'm Carol Pyrus, and I'm joined here today with one of my teammates, Teresa Lank. And our conversation today is going to be around a very specific, customized training that we did for a client in supply chain. Not something that we might normally do, but something that was very powerful and had significant results. So remember last year, we had a unique experience and a unique opportunity to do something unusual in the training realm that we normally didn't do.
Right. It was the opportunity to help people in the supply chain learn skills that are normally not taught to people in the supply chain.
Right. So it was a local company here, and we had the challenge of having to build leadership skills with a very large group of people who were transitioning from really data collection, data analysts into being more strategic thought partners, right, with their particular constituents. And so the challenge was, without really knowing the client well, right, because we couldn't do a needs assessment, we kind of just were told, here are the 4 topics that we need you to develop content on. And we did it.
Right. And the key part was that this was an evolving role for this client, sort of new territory, new ground, where they were having to influence across silos and people who normally don't work together globally. So we were helping them to rethink their role, think more strategically, and a key part was about how to influence decisions across the entire supply chain so that the product could be optimized in the design and the delivery.
And I remember one of the funnest things in working together on the project was experimenting ourselves with the different modalities that we were being asked to do. Not only live classroom training, but WebEx, webinars, of 4 hours in length, which is a very long time to be on the other end of the line, and also using telepresence. So it was an interesting mix of experiences for us to do delivery.
Yeah, it was so much fun to do that because never before in the history of training and development had anyone that I know of in the field ever delivered a training effectively more than 90 minutes. Right? Because typically people are falling asleep at 90 minutes because training is a talking head. What was fun about it, this project, was highly interactive, highly engaging for 4 hours globally.
Right, and that required every skill we had in the book, with really working together, because when one person was doing the stand-up, if you will, or doing the content delivery, the other person was either doing polling or checking in with people, so they could not rest. They did not have a chance to sit back in the back of the, quote, virtual classroom and not participate, because we were monitoring their participation virtually in the moment.
Yes, and it was fun to be able to do breakout groups and whiteboards virtually, globally, and to have them prepare, listen in on their preparation talks remotely, and then check back in and deliver their presentations to the entire group. That was a lot of fun. We really pushed the technology on that one.
Yeah, we did. And I'll never forget one of the gals who participated in one of our webinars. On the very last day that we were both doing back-to-back, side-by-side live training, which then became easy. The live training was the easiest part of the training. And she said to the whole classroom, I'm here to tell you, these are the 2 of the most interactive trainers. I have participated in the webinar in my jammies. I have my laptop. I'm thinking, I'm going to get a lot of work done and get credit for the class. And she said there was no time. I could not sit back. I had to participate. I had to listen because it was so fast-paced and fast-moving and full of exercises using the technology. It was just a great testament at the time, and made, of course, the live classroom training go very easily.
Yes, I remember that woman who spoke up and said that. And she also said that she learned from us how to use the technology more effectively, that she realized that she could do the same thing we were doing and make her meetings and her interactions more interesting.
Another thing that I think I really liked about the training was our own collaboration in the way that we could use each of our expertises to build not only really strong content, but a wonderful flow, again, interactively between exercises and tutorials to really help this group of people start to transform themselves, because these were skills they hadn't been exposed to, and to move from non-exposure to awareness to even some internalization was a huge challenge for us. And I think we put things in bite-sized pieces and enough exercises and enough role plays for them to really practice and to learn from each other.
Yes, it was so much fun to share our knowledge together and our skills and our toolkits to put together an excellent product for the client in this regard, and to actually see the participants change their point of view about what's possible for them in their world, that yes, they could influence across divisions, they could influence engineers, they could influence marketing people, they could influence manufacturers, et cetera, to actually see their role and to understand how to influence more powerfully was a lot of fun too, to hear the stories.
Right, and for them to realize that the old job really no longer applied. And once we went through we did 4 4-hour modules, and by the time we got to the end of those modules, they were starting to live the new position in a very different way than I think they had when we walked into the classroom. They didn't believe that the role was truly possible, and we realized not all of them were going to make it. Some might have been skeptical, cynical. This isn't the way that we want to operate. But there was a whole lot of people who really got the shift and got the transformation and really started to work with the tools that we gave them.
Yes, because they were actually having to learn a lot. They had to be strategic and action-oriented.
Right.
They had to develop relationships, manage those relationships, influence those relationships. They had to deal with conflict and resolve conflict, and they had to facilitate meetings and interact with people in a way that influenced across the company. So all of those skills and more was so much fun. And one of the things that I took away from that, that I said to myself I need to remember, is that we're in a world that's changing, and organizations are changing, and roles are changing with people, and often those roles are hybrid. The old roles are going away, and new behaviors, new roles are expected of people. And this was a great example of that, of what's happening in the work world, where people are going to have to rethink what is expected of people in different roles, and how do we influence differently across boundaries. So that was a key takeaway for me also from this.
Yeah, and I think, the testament was winning an award from the organization that they didn't have to do. I think our contribution went far beyond the training to help people really understand it was okay. They had permission, right? And working with the various key stakeholders and sponsors, and a lot of information was floating back to the leaders of that organization to realize that this was real, and that they supported the change, and that people who reported to them really started to get the transformation.
Yes.
It was so rewarding.
Yes, it was very powerful. And how big was that? That was like this big, wasn't
At least,
it?
yeah.
Like glass and beautiful. And where did that go, by the way?
It's sitting on my desk.
As it should.
Okay. Thanks so much for joining us today. We had fun talking about a favorite project of ours, and hope you might have learned a little bit about the work we do and how passionate we are about it.